Marcus had hidden cameras installed throughout the house. He was sure that the new nanny, like all the previous ones, would turn out to be a fraud, but the recordings showed him something completely different. His 3-year-old son doing something he never imagined, and it broke him inside. Marcus Davies was 30 years old and had everything money could buy. A 3-story Victorian townhouse in Chelsea, luxury cars, a bank account that grew every month, but no fortune could bring back what he lost 8 months ago, the peace that left when his wife Victoria died in an accident. Now he lived alone with Ben, his 3-year-old son, a boy with enormous eyes who looked more like his mother every day. And that resemblance was a dagger in Marcus's heart every morning. "I need another nanny," he had told his assistant 2 days ago. She was the 13th in 8 months. Marcus always found reasons to dismiss them. They arrived late, used the didn't follow instructions, or simply something about them didn't inspire his trust. The truth was more complicated. He couldn't bear to see another woman caring for his son. Every hug a nanny gave Ben broke him, because that hug should have come from Victoria. But Victoria was gone, and Ben needed someone. That Monday morning, Marcus walked downstairs, adjusting his tie. The silence hit him as always. Before, there had been laughter, music, life. Now, only echoes. Mr. Davies, Brenda, the housekeeper, appeared, wiping her hands. "Ben has already had breakfast. He's in his room, playing." "Alone?" Marcus frowned. "Yes, sir, as you requested. No television, no tablet, just his toys." Marcus nodded, ignoring the small knot in his stomach. It was better this way. Ben needed to learn independence early. The world wasn't kind to the weak. "What time does the new nanny arrive?" "At 10, sir. A Miss Eleanor Riley." Marcus checked his watch. He had 40 minutes before leaving for the office. Enough time to set the rules. Right from the start, he went up to Ben's room. His son was on the carpet, surrounded by blocks, building something that looked like a tower. "Good morning, Ben." The boy looked up. Those hazel eyes, identical to Victoria's, looked at him cautiously. "Good morning, Daddy." Marcus sat on the bed, not on the floor next to him. "A new nanny is coming today. Her name is Eleanor." Ben nodded slowly. He was already used to it. Nannies came and went like the seasons. "I need you to be good." "I'm always good, Daddy." And it was true. Ben was quiet, almost too much for his 3 years. He didn't throw tantrums, he didn't cry, he didn't ask for anything. Sometimes Marcus wondered if that was normal. "I know, son. You're a good boy." Ben smiled a little, a small smile that disappeared almost immediately. Marcus wanted to say more, to hug him, to ask him how he felt, if he missed his mummy, but the words got stuck as always. "I'm leaving. I'll see you tonight. Goodbye, Daddy." And just like that, Marcus left the room, closed the door behind him, and leaned against the hallway wall, breathing deeply. Why was it so difficult? Why did every interaction with his son feel like walking on broken glass? He went downstairs and was about to leave when the doorbell rang. It was 9:30, half an hour early. Marcus opened the door with a frown. Unpunctuality was a serious offense, but arriving too early also showed a lack of respect for his time. In front of him was a woman about 29, neatly tied brown hair, minimal makeup, clean jeans, and a white shirt. She carried a well-worn rucksack. "Good morning, I'm Eleanor Riley." Her voice was soft but firm. She looked directly into his eyes without lowering her gaze. "You're early. The appointment was for 10. "I know. I apologize. The bus arrived earlier than expected, and I preferred to wait here rather than wander around the neighborhood." At least she was honest. Marcus opened the door fully. "Come in." Eleanor entered, looking around with contained curiosity. There was no astonishment on her face at seeing the luxurious house, nor intimidation, just calm observation. "Sit down." Marcus gestured to the sofa. He sat opposite her. "Did you bring references?" "Yes, sir." Eleanor took out a folder. Marcus reviewed the papers. 3 families, good comments. One letter mentioned 2 years caring for small children. "Why did you leave that job?" 2 years is a long time. The family moved to Spain. They offered for me to go with them, but I have responsibilities here that I cannot abandon." "What kind of responsibilities?" There was a brief pause. Eleanor maintained her composure, but something crossed her eyes. Pain, perhaps, or worry. "I care for my mother. She's unwell." Marcus nodded. "Cancer, multiple sclerosis. I'm sorry to hear that." "Thank you." Silence settled between them for a moment. Marcus continued. "My son, Ben, is 3 years old. He lost his mother 8 months ago. He's a quiet boy, too quiet. I understand. The rules are simple. Marcus took out a printed sheet. Strict schedules. No sweets between meals. Maximum 1 hour of educational television. No tablets. Structured activities. And above all, professionalism. You're not his friend. You're his responsibility. Eleanor took the sheet and read it carefully. Her expression didn't change, but Marcus saw her fingers tense slightly around the paper. "Any problems?" he asked. "No, sir, but I have a question." "Go ahead. May I hug him?" The question took Marcus by surprise. "What?" "Ben, if he needs it, if he falls or gets scared, may I hug him? I don't see it on the list." Marcus felt something tense in his chest. Why did that question bother him so much? "I suppose so, if necessary. And if it's not necessary, but he asks for it?" Why would he ask if it's not necessary? Eleanor looked directly at him. Because sometimes, children need affection for no reason, just because they are children. There was something in the way she said it. It wasn't a challenge, but neither was it an appeal. It was simply the truth spoken with tranquility. "Do as you deem appropriate." Marcus responded with more coldness than he intended. "But remember, you're here to look after him, not to replace his mother." "I'm not here to replace anyone, Mr. Davies. I'm here to look after a child who has lost his mummy." "There's a difference." Marcus clenched his jaw. This woman was direct, perhaps too direct, but something about her honesty was refreshing or irritating. He wasn't sure. "The salary is what we discussed on the phone. Paid in cash every Friday. Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Weekends off. Perfect. One more thing." Marcus stood up. "I've had 12 nannies before you. They all promised to follow the rules. None lasted more than a month. Not because of me, but because they didn't do their job correctly." Eleanor also stood, holding his gaze. "With all due respect, Mr. Davies, I don't know the circumstances of the previous nannies, but what I do know is that every child deserves to be cared for with dignity and affection, not just with rules. If that's a problem for you, then perhaps I'm not the right person for this job." The silence that followed was dense. Marcus wasn't used to being spoken to like that, especially not by employees who needed the job. He should dismiss her right now before she even started. But something stopped him. Perhaps it was the conviction in her eyes. Perhaps it was the exhaustion of looking for nanny number 14. Or perhaps in some buried corner of his heart, he knew she was right. "You're hired. Start now." For the first time, Eleanor smiled. It was a small, but genuine smile. "Thank you, Mr. Davies. Brenda will show you where everything is. I'm off to work. I'll be back at 7. "Understood." Marcus took his briefcase and headed for the door, but before leaving, he stopped. "Eleanor." "Yes?" "Ben is all I have left. If anything happens to him, if he suffers in any way under your care, nothing will happen to him." Eleanor interrupted firmly. "You have my word." Marcus nodded and left. In the car on the way to the office, he couldn't get Eleanor's image out of his head. There was something about her that was different from the others. It wasn't desperation to keep the job. It wasn't fear or submission. It was confidence, as if she knew exactly what she was doing and didn't need his approval to do it well. That made him uncomfortable because Marcus Davies needed control. Control over his company, over his home, over every aspect of his life that fate hadn't taken away from him. And this woman, with her calm firmness and direct questions, threatened that control. He took out his phone and searched for a saved contact. Premier Security Systems. He had thought about this before, after nanny number 8, but it had always seemed excessive, an unnecessary invasion of privacy. But now, with this woman in his house, with his son, something in his chest told him he needed to know, he needed to see, he needed to be sure. He dialed the number. "Good morning, Premier Security Systems. How can we help you?" "I need to install security cameras, discrete cameras throughout my house." "Of course, sir. When would you like us to come?" Marcus looked at his watch. Eleanor had just started. Ben was with her at this very moment. "Today, this afternoon, after 7 p.m. "Perfect." "Address?" Marcus gave the details, confirmed the budget, which he barely noticed because money wasn't a problem, and hung up. He leaned back in the car seat, watching the London traffic move slowly in front of him. He wasn't being paranoid. It was reasonable precaution. He had a right to know what was happening in his own home with his own son, didn't he? But even as he repeated these justifications to himself, a small voice in his head, one that sounded suspiciously like Victoria, whispered, "Who are you trying to convince, Marcus? Yourself?" He ignored that voice, as he had learned to ignore so many things in the last 8 months. In the house, Eleanor walked upstairs following Brenda. "The child's room is here. Brenda pointed to a door with a sign that read, Ben decorated with dinosaurs. He's a sweet child, quiet, never causes problems. And is that good? Eleanor asked softly. Brenda looked at her in surprise. Well, of course. It makes everything easier. Or perhaps it makes it easier not to see something is wrong. Before Brenda could reply, Eleanor knocked on Ben's bedroom door. Ben, it's Eleanor. May I come in? Silence. Then a small voice. Yes. Eleanor opened the door and entered. The room was perfect. Too perfect. Everything organized, clean. Every toy in its place. The walls with professional murals of dinosaurs and astronauts. A 4-poster bed that looked like it was from a magazine. A shelf full of books organized by size. And in the middle of all that perfection, sitting on the carpet, was Ben, a small child with enormous, serious eyes that looked at her cautiously. Hello, Ben. Eleanor knelt to his height without getting too close. Pleased to meet you. I'm Eleanor, and I'm going to look after you. The boy nodded, but said nothing. What are you building? A tower. It looks very tall. What's it for? Ben thought for a moment. So my mummy can see me from heaven. And in that moment, Eleanor's heart broke and mended at the same time, because she understood everything she needed to know about this child and about the man who had hired her. This wasn't going to be an easy job, but it was going to be necessary. The technicians arrived at 7:30 p.m. Marcus waited for them nervously. Good evening, Mr. Davies. 3 men in blue uniforms and equipment boxes. Come in quickly and quietly. My son is sleeping upstairs. Understood. Where do you want the cameras? Everywhere. Marcus showed them the floor plan marked with red circles. Living room, kitchen, garden, playroom, hallways, total coverage. The child's room. Marcus hesitated. Crossing that line felt wrong, but he thought of Ben, of all that could happen without him knowing, very discreetly too. 2 hours later, everything was installed. Tiny cameras in smoke detectors, clocks, invisible ceiling corners. The technician showed him the system on his laptop. You can see everything in real time. 30 days of recordings. Access from mobile, tablet, any device. Marcus watched the 8 small windows. Empty living room, dark kitchen, Ben's room where his son slept, absolute control. Why then did he feel that weight in his stomach? Is there audio? Yes, sir. High definition. Perfect. Now he could hear every word. When the technicians left, Marcus stayed staring at the screens. He poured himself a whiskey. It's for his safety, he said to the empty room. But Victoria's voice whispered, or are you afraid she'll do what you can't? He drank the whiskey and turned off the lights. The next morning, Marcus woke up at 6. He had dreamt of Victoria looking at him with disappointment. He went down to the kitchen and opened his laptop. The 8 windows appeared. At 7:30, Eleanor came out of her room. He saw her in the hallway, barefoot, in pajamas and a t-shirt. Messy hair, normal, human. 15 minutes later, she came downstairs already dressed. She entered the kitchen and was surprised to see him. Good morning, Mr. Davies. I didn't expect to find you here. Work to review. Silence, while Eleanor took out ingredients. What time does Ben wake up? Between 8 and 8:30. I can make him breakfast to create a routine. Marcus nodded, watching her move around the kitchen, confident but respectful. I'm leaving, he announced, closing the laptop. I'll be back at 7. In the car, he opened the app immediately. There was Eleanor cooking, humming. During the morning, between meetings, he checked the cameras every 15 minutes, like an addiction. At 8:20, he saw her go upstairs. He switched to the room camera, just as she entered. Ben was awake, hugging his green dinosaur. Good morning, Ben. Eleanor's voice sounded warm through the audio. Did you sleep well? The boy nodded without saying anything. Are you hungry? Another nod. I've made scrambled eggs. Do you like them? Ben finally spoke. My mummy made them with cheese. Marcus tensed. Here it came. Eleanor would say something inappropriate. She would minimize Ben's pain, or worse, try to replace Victoria. But what she said surprised him. You know what? I've no idea how your mummy made them, but if you tell me, I can try to make them similar. What do you think? Ben looked at her with those big, cautious eyes. Really? Really? You're the expert. I'm just the new cook who needs to learn. For the first time, Marcus saw his son smile. Barely a small curve, but real. She put yellow cheese and stirred it a lot. Perfect. Come down with me and help? Can I? Of course. You're part of the team. Marcus watched them go downstairs. Eleanor didn't carry him or hold his hand. She simply walked beside him. In the kitchen, she sat him on a high stool. All right, boss. Tell me what to do. Ben, with seriousness, gave instructions. More than that, Mummy put a lot. You're demanding. Eleanor joked. You remind me of my little brother. You have a little brother? I did. He's grown up now. He's 17. And your mummy. Eleanor's smile turned melancholic. Marcus turned up the volume. My mummy is ill, that's why I work to help her. She's not going to die like my mummy? The brutal, direct question in its innocence made Marcus hold his breath. Eleanor knelt in front of Ben, looking him in the eyes. I don't know, little one. I hope not, but she's very ill. And are you sad? Sometimes, but I'm also grateful for every day I have with her, because time together, even if it's difficult, is a gift. I miss my mummy every day. I know, little one, and it's okay to miss her. You don't have to hide it. Daddy says I have to be strong, and you are. But being strong doesn't mean not missing her. It means moving forward even when it hurts. It means allowing yourself to feel everything you need to feel. Ben paused, thinking, his eyes bright with unshed tears. Can I hug you? Marcus saw Eleanor swallow, emotional. Of course you can. And his son, that child who had barely let anyone touch him in months, launched himself into the arms of this woman he barely knew. He clung to her as if she were a lifeline in the middle of the ocean. Marcus had to close his phone. His hands were trembling. He couldn't keep watching because what he saw wasn't manipulation. It wasn't a nanny trying to win the child over with false promises. It was genuine connection. Two people who understood each other's pain, who recognized each other in their shared suffering. And he, hidden behind cameras and screens, observing from the shadows, was the only one who remained completely alone. The only one who refused to feel. The rest of the day was a blur. Marcus tried to concentrate, but kept returning to his phone. He saw them in the garden chasing butterflies, eating lunch together while Eleanor told stories. During his nap, she read to him and stayed with him, stroking his hair until he slept soundly. Each scene proved that Eleanor wasn't the problem. He was. At 6, Marcus returned. He heard laughter from the living room. He found Eleanor and Ben building a cushion fort. Daddy! Ben ran to him with enthusiasm. Look, look. It's very big. It's a castle. I'm the king, and Eleanor's the dragon protecting me. Eleanor stood up. We'll clean up before dinner. No rush. Do you want to come into the castle, Daddy? Ben took his hand. A physical connection they hadn't had in so long that Marcus froze. I have work to do, he said. The light in Ben's eyes dimmed a little. Oh, okay. And in that moment, Marcus saw the disappointment. Not anger, not a tantrum, just the quiet resignation of a child accustomed to his father not being present. Perhaps later, he tried to soften. Yes, later. But both knew there would be no later. Marcus went up to his study and closed the door. He opened the laptop, and the 8 windows appeared. Downstairs, he saw Eleanor kneel beside Ben. You know what? Your daddy works very hard to give you everything you need. That's also a form of love. But I don't need things. I just need him. The words were like a direct punch to Marcus's heart. I know, little one, and I'm sure he needs you too. Sometimes adults don't know how to say it. Do you think my daddy loves me? I am completely sure of it. How do you know? By the way he looks at you when he thinks you're not watching. As if you were the most important thing in the world? Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. Was that true? Did Eleanor notice it because she actually paid attention? That night, after Ben had eaten and gone to sleep, Marcus went down for water. He found Eleanor washing dishes. Brenda can do that tomorrow. It doesn't bother me. It relaxes me, helps me think. Silence while she rinsed a plate. The running water was the only sound in the dark kitchen. He had a good day, Marcus commented, each word feeling forced. Ben, I saw him differently, happier. Eleanor looked at him sideways, slowly drying her hands. He's a wonderful boy. He just needed permission to be a child again. What does that mean? She dried her hands completely and turned to face him. There was something firm in her posture. With respect, Mr. Davies, Ben has been trying to be the strong adult you need him to be, but he's 3 years old. He needs to be able to be vulnerable. To play, laugh, cry if necessary. He needs to know that it's okay not to be okay all the time. I haven't asked him to be strong. Perhaps not with words, but children read more than what we say. They read what we are. Marcus gripped the glass in his hand. You don't know what you're talking about. You're right. I know nothing of your life, of your pain, of what it's been like to lose your wife, but I do know about children, and I know when one is carrying a weight that doesn't belong to them. She finished. Eleanor held his gaze for a moment longer, then nodded. Good night, Mr. Davies. When she went upstairs, Marcus remained in the dark kitchen with the forgotten glass of water in his hands. Eleanor's words resonated in his head, uncomfortable, true. He went up to his study and opened the cameras again. It was an obsession now. He needed to see. He needed to know. He needed what exactly? On the screen of Ben's room, he saw Eleanor enter. His son was lying down, but awake. "I can't sleep," he heard the small voice. "Do you want me to stay for a bit?" "Yes." Eleanor sat on the chair by the bed. "What are you thinking about?" Silence. Then, "Do you think my mummy can see me from heaven?" "I'm sure she can. Completely sure." "And do you think she's proud of me?" "Why wouldn't she be proud? You're brave, kind, intelligent. Because sometimes I do bad things." "Like what?" Ben lowered his voice, as if confessing a terrible secret. "Like wishing someone else was my mummy, because I miss having one so much." "Does that make me bad?" Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. The world stopped. His son had been carrying this guilt, this impossible weight, and he had had no idea. "Ben, look at me." Eleanor knelt by the bed, taking his small hands. Missing having a mummy is never a bad thing, and it's okay if sometimes you wish someone would fill that empty space in your heart. Your mummy would understand that perfectly. She would want you to be happy, for you to have people who love and care for you. Really, really. True love has no jealousy. It only wants the best for the other person. Then, it's not bad that I like you? Eleanor quickly wiped a tear. "Not at all. I feel honored. Are you going to stay?" "I don't know what will happen in the future, but while I'm here, I promise I'll look after you as best I can." A true promise, right? A true promise, right? Ben closed his eyes, peaceful. Eleanor finally stayed there, humming a soft song until the child fell asleep. Marcus closed the laptop, leaned back in his chair, and looked at the ceiling. The cameras had shown him exactly what he needed to see, but it wasn't what he expected. He found no negligence, no manipulation, no danger. He found simple, honest, selfless love. And he found the truth he had been avoiding for 8 months. His son was healing, but he wasn't, because while Ben was learning to open up again, to trust, to feel, Marcus remained locked behind walls he had built himself. And the cameras, he thought bitterly, were just another wall. 3 weeks passed since the cameras were installed. 3 weeks in which Marcus became a ghost, physically present, absent in what mattered. He arrived early, locked himself in his study, reviewed recordings. During the day at the office, he monitored the cameras constantly. He returned late when Ben was asleep and watched everything again. "Are you all right, Marcus?" his partner Damien asked him. Perfectly, but he wasn't. He was addicted to the screens that showed him the life he wasn't living, and every day showed him the same thing. Eleanor was genuine, patient, loving, everything Marcus didn't know how to be. One morning, reviewing recordings, he saw something that left him paralyzed. It was the previous afternoon. Eleanor and Ben were drawing with chalk in the garden. His son made stick figures, a tall man, a woman, a small child. "Who are they?" Eleanor asked. "My family before." Marcus leaned towards the screen, turning up the volume. "Your mummy, your daddy, and you." Eleanor observed the drawing. "Yes, but not now." "Now, what's it like?" Ben took another piece of chalk, drew the child alone in one corner, the tall man in the other corner, and between them, a huge, empty space. "Like this," he said, simply. Marcus's heart broke into pieces. "Why are they so far apart?" Eleanor asked softly. "Because Daddy doesn't want to be close. I think I remind him of Mummy, and that makes him sad." "Did he tell you that?" "No, but I know because when he looks at me, his eyes get sad, and then he leaves." Eleanor sat on the ground next to him. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think your daddy loves you very, very much. So much that he's scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared of losing you like he lost your mummy. Sometimes, when people are very scared, they push away what they love most. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much." Ben thought about that. "But that doesn't make sense. If he loves me, why isn't he with me?" "Because fear doesn't always make sense, little one. Fear makes us do things that hurt, even when we don't mean to hurt." "Are you scared all the time?" "Of what?" "Of losing my mummy, of not being enough for you, of failing." "But you're not failing. You're the best." Eleanor smiled, her eyes glistening. "Thank you, Ben. That means a lot." "Eleanor." "Yes?" "Do you think my daddy will stop being scared someday?" "I hope so, because he deserves to be happy. And you deserve to have a daddy who is present. Not just in the house, but here." She touched Ben's chest over his heart, where it really matters. Marcus paused the recording. His son's words haunted him. I remind him of Mummy. That's what Ben thought, that he pulled away because his son reminded him of Victoria. Yes, Ben reminded him of Victoria, but he pulled away because every time he looked at his son, he saw his own failure, his fear of loving and losing everything again. He closed the laptop and went down to the kitchen. It was 6 in the morning, but he heard a scream from upstairs. He ran up. It came from Ben's room. He abruptly opened the door and found his son sitting in bed crying, the sheets disheveled. Nightmare. Ben. The boy looked at him with huge eyes, full of terror. Daddy. For the first time in months, Marcus didn't think, didn't calculate, didn't pull away. He simply crossed the room and hugged his son. Ben clung to him as if he were the last person in the world, sobbing against his chest. I'm here. I'm here, son. I had a horrible dream. I dreamt you were leaving too, that you were leaving me alone. I'm not going anywhere, I promise you. Really, really. He heard footsteps. Eleanor appeared at the door, worried. I heard shouts. It's all right, Nightmare. Eleanor nodded. There was something in her gaze, understanding, hope. Do you need anything? Marcus held his son until he slept. When he lay him down, he looked so small, 3 years old, and so much lost. I'm sorry, Marcus whispered, stroking Ben's hair. I'm sorry for not having been here. I'm sorry for having been so scared. He left the room and found Eleanor in the hallway. She was leaning against the wall, waiting. Thank you, Marcus said. For what? For not coming in, for letting us have that moment. It wasn't my place. It was yours. Silence between them. Different this time, less tense. May I ask you something? Eleanor spoke finally. Go ahead. Why do you hire nannies if you're going to keep them at a distance? Why aren't you just with him? Marcus felt the defensiveness rise, but he swallowed it. This woman deserved honesty, because I don't know how. Victoria was the expert at being a mother. I was just the provider, the one who worked, the one who paid the bills, and now she's gone and Ben needs me, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be what he needs. Do you know what he needs? What? You. Just that. He doesn't need perfection. He needs presence. I just was present, and I don't even know if I did it well. You hugged him when he was scared. That's all he needed. And you did it well. Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. How do you make it sound so simple? Because it is simple. Love isn't complicated. We are the ones who complicate it with our fears. 2 more weeks passed. Marcus kept checking the cameras, but something changed. He no longer looked for negligence. Now he sought to learn, and slowly he began to change. He arrived earlier, had dinner with Ben, read him stories. His voice was stiff, but Ben looked at him as if he were the best gift. One afternoon, reviewing the recordings, he saw a conversation that made him stop. Ben was helping Eleanor fold clean clothes, a simple, domestic activity. Eleanor, can I ask you something? Always. Why are you so nice to me? She stopped folding and looked at him. Why wouldn't I be nice to you? Because the other nannies were nice at first, but then they got tired. They said I was too quiet, too serious, too boring. Marcus felt rage rise. What kind of people said that to a 3-year-old child? Ben, look at me. Eleanor knelt in front of him. You're not boring. You're thoughtful, observant, intelligent. And being quiet isn't a bad thing. It means that when you speak, your words carry weight. Do you really think that? Really? You know what else I think? What? That anyone who doesn't see how special you are doesn't deserve to be near you. Ben smiled. That small smile that was appearing more often lately. Eleanor. Yes, I love you. Marcus saw Eleanor freeze, her eyes filling with tears she tried to hold back. I love you too, little one, very much. And then Ben asked something that made Marcus's world stop. Can you be my new mummy? The silence in the recording was deafening. Eleanor closed her eyes, breathing deeply. When she opened them, there was pain and love mixed in her expression. Ben, my love, I can't be your mummy. No one can replace your mummy. She was unique and special, and she will always be your mum. But she's not here. I know, and that's very difficult. But I can be someone who loves you very much, someone who cares for you, someone who will always be here for you, for as long as I can. Is that okay? Ben thought for a moment. And if I call you like I used to call my grandma, Auntie Eleanor? Eleanor smiled through her tears. Auntie Eleanor, I love that. Then you're my Auntie Eleanor. And you love me. I love you with all my heart. Marcus paused the recording. His phone vibrated. A message from his assistant about an urgent meeting. He ignored it. For the first time in weeks, he turned off his phone completely. He closed the laptop and went downstairs. It was Friday afternoon. He heard laughter in the garden. He went outside and found Eleanor pushing Ben on the swing. "Hiya, Auntie Eleanor, hiya, are you sure?" "Yes." Marcus approached. Both saw him, and the laughter stopped, as if his presence automatically extinguished the joy. That hurt more than he expected. "May I, Marcus?" He pointed to the swing. Ben looked at him, confused. "May you what?" "Push you." His son's face lit up. "Really? Really?" Eleanor stepped aside, giving him space. She gave him an encouraging smile, before discreetly retreating into the house. Marcus stood behind the swing. His hands trembled slightly. Something so simple, something thousands of parents did every day. And for him, it felt like climbing a mountain. He pushed gently. "Harder, Daddy." He pushed harder, and heard something he hadn't heard in months. His son laughing, truly, completely, unreservedly. More, more. Marcus pushed harder, and as he watched his son fly forward and back, something inside him began to heal. Not completely. The wounds were too deep for that. But a crack began in the armor, a ray of light entering the darkness. After 15 minutes, Ben got off the swing and ran to him. "Daddy, yes. Can we do this more often?" "I'd like that very much. Really, 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 really." Ben hugged him tightly, confidently, as if he finally believed his father wasn't going to disappear. That night, after putting Ben to bed, Marcus stayed watching him sleep. His son looked peaceful. He felt a presence. "Eleanor, he's a good boy. He is. Thanks to you." "No, thanks to him. Children just need space to heal." Marcus turned. "I have to confess something. I installed cameras throughout the house. I've been watching you since the first day." He waited for the explosion, the anger, but Eleanor only nodded. "I know. You know? I found one the second day. The smoke detector in the kitchen has a very small light that blinks. I looked and found others." Marcus was speechless. "And you didn't say anything?" "No, because I understood that it wasn't about me. It was about you trying to maintain control over something when everything else felt out of control. You should be furious probably, but I also know what fear is, and I recognize someone who is drowning in it. Why did you stay, knowing I was watching? Because Ben needed me. And, honestly, I think you did too." Marcus felt tears sting. He hadn't cried since the funeral. He had promised himself never to again. But now, standing in the dark hallway with this woman, who had seen him at his worst and hadn't judged him, the tears began to fall. "I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to be a father without Victoria. You don't have to fix everything at once. You just have to be present, one day at a time, one moment at a time. And if it's not enough, it will be enough because it's real. And that's all Ben needs." The confession about the cameras changed something between Marcus and Eleanor. It wasn't trust exactly. It was a mutual understanding, a recognition that both fought their own battles while trying to give Ben what he needed. On Saturday morning, Marcus made a decision that both terrified and liberated him. He called the security company. "I need you to remove all the cameras." "All of them, Mr. Davies?" "Are you sure?" "Completely sure." "Is there a problem with the system?" "No, the problem is me." Silence on the other end of the line. "Understood. We'll send a team this afternoon." When he hung up, he felt the weight of the phone in his hand. That device that had been his window to a life he refused to truly live. He opened the camera application one last time. 8 windows showing his empty house. The living room in silence, the kitchen tidy, the garden under the morning sun, Ben's room with the bed, perfectly made by Brenda. And he realized, the cameras only showed empty spaces. They didn't show love, they didn't show connection, only absences. He closed the application, deleted it from his phone, and breathed. The technicians arrived at 3 in the afternoon. Marcus supervised every camera being removed. The false smoke detector in the kitchen, the clock in the living room, the small lenses hidden in the corners. When they finished, the house felt different, lighter, as if it had been holding its breath for weeks and could finally exhale. Eleanor watched from the stairs. She said nothing, but her eyes said it all. That night, Marcus did something he hadn't done in 8 months. He decided to stay home all weekend. No work, no excuses. And Eleanor, of course, although technically it was her days off, she stayed. "Just in case you need anything," she had said. But both knew she stayed because this broken family needed her, and perhaps she needed them too. On Sunday morning, Ben came downstairs with his stuffed dinosaur under his arm. "Daddy, aren't you going to work?" "No, champ. Today I'm staying with you." Ben's eyes lit up with cautious hope, as if he didn't dare to fully believe. Really? Really? What do you want to do? Ben thought very seriously, as if this were the most important question in the world. Finally, he said, "Can we go to the park? The one with the ducks?" Marcus felt a pang in his chest. That park, the one he used to visit with Victoria and Ben every Sunday before the accident. The one he had religiously avoided for 8 months, because every bench, every tree, every path was saturated with memories. "Of course, let's go to the park." The three of them went. Marcus drove, Eleanor in the passenger seat, Ben in the back in his car seat, humming an invented song. When they arrived, Marcus stayed in the car for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, breathing. "Are you all right?" Eleanor asked softly. "This was our place, Victoria's and mine. We came here when we were dating, and then with Ben. Do you want to go somewhere else?" Marcus looked in the rear-view mirror. Ben was already unbuckling his seatbelt, excited, looking towards the lake where the ducks swam. "It's not time to go back." They got out of the car. Ben immediately ran towards the lake, stopping right at the edge, as Victoria had taught him. Never cross the line of stones without an adult. Marcus and Eleanor walked behind him. "Look, Daddy, there are baby ducks." And he knew. A mummy duck followed by 5 small ducklings swimming in perfect single file. "They're beautiful." Marcus knelt beside his son. "Can we feed them? I didn't bring any bread." Ben's face saddened a little. Mummy always brought bread. Before, Marcus would have quickly changed the subject, would have diverted the conversation, but now he took a deep breath and said, "You're right. Your mummy never forgot the bread for the ducks. She was more organized than me. Do you miss her?" "Every day." "Then why don't we talk about her?" The direct, honest question broke something inside Marcus. "Because it hurt too much, and I thought that if I didn't talk about her, it would hurt less, but I was wrong. Can we talk about her now?" "Yes, we can talk about her whenever you want." Ben stayed watching the ducks for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you remember when Mummy fell in the lake?" Marcus laughed, a genuine laugh that surprised even himself. "How could I forget? She was trying to reach your ball and slipped completely, and she came out all wet and laughing. Your mummy always laughed at herself." "I remember that too." Ben smiled. "Even though you were very little, you were 2 years old, but your mummy told that story all the time." They spent the next hour walking through the park. Marcus told him stories about Victoria. Some Ben vaguely remembered, others were new to him. And with each story, something inside Marcus began to loosen. The pain was still there, probably always would be, but it was no longer a pain that paralyzed him. It was a pain that flowed, that breathed, that existed alongside the good memories without devouring them. Eleanor walked a few steps behind, giving them space, but always present. Marcus looked at her at one point, and she smiled at him. A small smile that said, "You're doing well." When they returned home, Ben was exhausted, but happy. He fell asleep in the car, hugging his dinosaur. "It was a good day," Eleanor commented as Marcus carried Ben up to his room. It was like breathing after being underwater." "That's a good description." After putting Ben to bed, Marcus went downstairs and found Eleanor in the kitchen, making coffee. "I'll have a cup, please." They sat at the kitchen table. The silence between them was no longer awkward, it was quiet companionship. "I have to ask you a question." Marcus broke the silence finally. "Go ahead. Why do you do it? Why do you stay? It's not just the job. You could get another job, one where the boss doesn't spy on you or question you constantly." Eleanor sipped her coffee slowly before responding. "Do you want the simple answer or the true one?" "The true one, because I see in Ben something of myself when I was a child, that feeling of loss, of not fitting into the world without the person who made you feel safe." She paused. "My dad died when I was 4, and my mom had to work 3 jobs to support us. She was there physically, but emotionally she was absent, because the pain consumed her, and that helped her to understand me. It helped me to understand that adults also break, and that sometimes they need time to learn to put themselves back together." "And your mom put herself back together?" Eleanor's expression darkened. "Eventually, but it took her years. And by the time she was ready to be present, I had already grown up. We lost those years. I don't want you and Ben to lose yours." Marcus felt something deep in those words. "I'm sorry. For your mom, for you, thank you. But it also taught me something important. It's never too late to start over. My mom and I reconnected when I was 17, and now, even with her illness, we have a beautiful relationship, different from what it could have been, but real. How much time does she have left?" Eleanor looked at her cup. "The doctor said 6 months." 8 months ago. I'm sorry. Me too. But I'm grateful for every day, and I try not to waste the time we have. Is that why you work? To pay for her treatment? Mainly. The medications are expensive, and I want her to be comfortable. Do you have help? Or family? My brother does what he can, but he's 17. He's still in school. I don't want him to carry this. Marcus thought of his own bank account, of the money he had, but which had never filled the void in his chest. If you need anything, financial help for your mum, you just have to ask. Eleanor looked up, surprised. I can't accept that. Why not? Because I didn't come here looking for charity. It's not charity. It's gratitude for what you've done for Ben, for me, Mr. Davies. Marcus, please. I think after all this, you can call me Marcus. A small smile. Marcus, I appreciate the offer really, but I prefer to earn things. You are doing that, believe me. That night Marcus couldn't sleep. He went up to his study and instead of opening the laptop to check cameras that no longer existed, he took a box from the wardrobe. Victoria's box. He hadn't opened it since the funeral. Inside were photos, letters, small objects she had kept. A cinema ticket from their first date, a napkin from the restaurant where he proposed, the positive pregnancy test from when they found out Ben was coming. Marcus took out each object carefully, as if they were fragments of glass that could break if he touched them too hard. There was a sealed letter with his name written in Victoria's hand. His blood ran cold. He didn't remember this letter. He opened it with trembling hands. My love, it began. If you're reading this, it means something happened to me, and I know you're devastated. I know you. I know your first instinct will be to shut down, to protect yourself, to build walls so high that no one can hurt you again. But please, please, don't do it. Ben needs you. He needs the man I knew, the man who laughs when he burns pancakes, the man who cries in movies, even if he pretends not to, the man who loves so deeply that he is afraid. Don't let fear steal our son from you. Don't let it steal your life. And Marcus, if you ever meet someone else, someone who makes you smile or makes Ben smile, don't feel guilty. I want you both to be happy. That's my only request. Live, please, truly live. I love you. I will always love you. Victoria. The tears fell on the paper, blurring some words, but Marcus had already read them, had already absorbed them. Victoria knew. She always knew exactly who he was, and she loved him anyway. And in her last letter, she didn't ask him to remember her with pain. She asked him to live. He cried for hours. He cried for Victoria, for Ben, for all the lost time, for the fear that had governed his life. When he finally calmed down, he felt something different, lighter, as if he had been carrying a backpack full of stones. And finally, someone had given him permission to let it go. He went downstairs. It was almost 4 in the morning. He went to Ben's room and entered quietly. His son slept soundly, surrounded by stuffed dinosaurs and disheveled sheets. Marcus sat in the chair by the bed, the same one where Eleanor sat so many nights. I promise you something, he whispered in the darkness. I'm going to be here, truly, not just in the house, but here with you. I'm going to learn to be the daddy you deserve, and I'm going to let love be greater than fear. Ben stirred in his sleep, mumbling something unintelligible. Marcus reached out and stroked his hair tenderly. Your mummy loved you so much, and I love you too. I always have. I was just lost, but not anymore. The next morning, Marcus woke up in the chair next to Ben's bed. The sun streamed through the window. His neck was sore from the uncomfortable position. But Ben was awake, looking at him with big, surprised eyes. Daddy, did you sleep here? Yes. Why? Because I wanted to be close to you. Ben smiled. That full, unreserved smile that Marcus hadn't seen in months, and he launched himself into his arms. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, champ. More than words can say. They went down to breakfast together. Eleanor was already in the kitchen making coffee. Good morning. She smiled as she saw them enter hand in hand. Good morning, Marcus replied. And for the first time in 8 months, he truly felt it. It was a good day, a new beginning. What do you want for breakfast? He asked Ben. Pancakes, the ones Mummy made. Marcus looked at Eleanor. She nodded with silent encouragement. We're going to try it together, you and I. How about that? Yes. It was a beautiful disaster. They burnt the first 3, the 4th was raw in the middle, but the 5th came out almost perfect. We did it, Daddy, we did it! And as Ben ate his imperfect pancake, with pure happiness, Marcus looked at Eleanor across the table. Thank you, he articulated silently. She nodded. You're welcome. But both knew it was more than that. It was a recognition that sometimes people need mirrors that show them who they can be, not just who they are. And Eleanor had been that mirror. Now it was Marcus's turn to look at his reflection and choose to become the man he wanted to be. 6 weeks passed since Marcus removed the cameras. 6 weeks of learning to be a father. It wasn't easy. There were days where everything flowed, and days where fear tried to drag him back to old patterns. But every time he felt the urge to pull away, he remembered Victoria's letter. Don't let fear steal our son from you. One Friday afternoon, Marcus arrived early. He had cancelled a meeting to be at Ben's birthday the next day. Months ago, it would have been unthinkable. Now he understood that work would still be there tomorrow. His son's childhood wouldn't. He entered the house and heard voices in the living room. Eleanor was helping Ben with something. Ah, yes. Very good. Now fold it here. It looks good, Auntie Eleanor. It looks perfect. Marcus entered and found his son surrounded by colored paper, safety scissors, and glue. He was making something that looked like a card. Daddy, you're home early. I told you I would be. Marcus knelt beside him. What are you making? Ben quickly covered his project with his hands. It's a surprise. For tomorrow. Ah. Then I shouldn't look. No. You have to wait until my party. Marcus smiled. Seeing his son so excited, so alive, was a gift he would never take for granted. That night, while Ben slept, Marcus and Eleanor folded napkins for the party. Are you nervous, Eleanor? Marcus asked. For the party, for everything. First time since Victoria died. Yes, but also excited. Will you stay tomorrow? Do you want me to stay? We both do. You're part of us. Eleanor smiled, but with sadness in her eyes. What's wrong? Marcus asked. Nothing. I was just thinking about my mum. I wish she could meet Ben. How is she? Weaker every day. The doctors say maybe a month, maybe less. Are you spending enough time with her? All I can. I go every night after putting Ben to bed. My brother stays during the day while I'm here. Marcus felt a weight in his chest. Eleanor, if you need to take time off. No, being here helps me. Seeing Ben grow, seeing you two reconnect, gives me hope. It reminds me that after loss, life can go on. It can be beautiful again. The next day, the house was filled with colors, balloons, and children. Marcus had prepared everything. A clown, a dinosaur piñata, plenty of food. Ben was radiant, running, laughing non-stop. Daddy, come play. And Marcus went. He sat with the children, played hide and seek, got cake on himself, because he finally understood that life was in these moments, in his son's laughter, in being completely present. When it was time for cake, everyone sang. Ben blew out the candles with force, closing his eyes to make a wish. What did you wish for? Asked one of his friends. I can't say. If I say it, it won't come true. Afterwards, as the guests left, Ben searched for his secret project, the card he had been making with such care. Daddy, close your eyes. Marcus obeyed, feeling the anticipation in his son's voice. Now open them. In his hands, Ben held a handmade card. On the front, he had drawn 3 figures, a tall man, a child, and a woman. But this time they weren't separated by empty spaces. They were together, holding hands, with a bright yellow sun above. It's our family, Ben explained proudly. You, me, and Auntie Eleanor. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. It's beautiful, son. Open it. Inside, in crooked letters written by a 4-year-old's hand, it read, Thank you for coming back, Daddy, I love you. Tears rolled down Marcus's face, unstoppable. Are you sad? Ben asked worriedly. No, champ, I'm happy. So happy my heart feels like it's going to burst. Ben hugged him tightly. I'm happy too. That night, after everyone had left, and Ben finally collapsed in his bed, exhausted but happy, Marcus stayed watching him sleep. Eleanor appeared at the door. It was a perfect day. Thanks to you, wasn't it? Thanks to you. You made all this possible. But you showed me how. If you hadn't arrived when you did, but I did arrive, and you had the courage to change. That's not a small thing, Marcus. Something in the air shifted. A subtle electricity. Marcus stood up and walked towards her. Eleanor, I need to tell you something. During these weeks, you've become part of our family, and I'm starting to feel things I don't know if I should feel. Eleanor took a step back. Marcus, I know. It's complicated. Perhaps soon. But Victoria left me a letter telling me that if I met someone who made me smile, I shouldn't feel guilty, that she wanted me to be happy. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. Because when I'm with you, when I see how you love my son, how you help me find myself again, I feel something I thought I would never feel again. Eleanor had tears in her eyes. I feel something too, but it's complicated. I know. And my mum. I know, and I'm not asking for answers. I just wanted you to know that when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. She nodded, wiping her tears. I need time. All the time you need. Eleanor left the room, leaving Marcus with his heart exposed and vulnerable, but he didn't regret it because Victoria was right. Life was to be lived completely, with all the risk and all the possibility of pain that implied. 2 weeks later, in the early hours of a Tuesday, Eleanor's phone rang. Marcus heard her hurried footsteps, her broken voice speaking to someone. He went downstairs and found her in the living room with the phone in her hand, crying. What happened? My mum passed away an hour ago. My brother called, but her voice broke completely. I didn't make it in time to say goodbye. Marcus hugged her without thinking, and she crumbled in his arms. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I fell asleep. I was so tired, and I fell asleep, and she died alone. She wasn't alone. Your brother was there, and you did everything you could. You were with her every night for months, but not at the very end. The end is just a moment. You gave her love throughout her life. That's what counts. They stayed like that for a long time. Eleanor crying, Marcus holding her, giving her the same kind of comfort she had given Ben so many times. The following days were a whirlwind. The funeral, the paperwork, the raw grief. On the night of the funeral, Eleanor returned, exhausted. How are you? Marcus served her tea. Numb, sad, relieved that she's no longer suffering. That's normal. How did you endure it when Victoria died? I didn't endure it. I ran, and I almost lost my son. You showed me another way. I don't know if I can do that. You don't have to know now. You just have to breathe, one moment at a time. The next day, Eleanor told him she needed time, that she couldn't continue working while processing everything. Take all the time you need, Marcus replied. Your job will be here when you return. And if I don't return? The question hit him like a punch, but he understood. Then I'll understand, and I'll always be grateful for what you did for us. 3 weeks passed without Eleanor. Marcus hired a temporary nanny, but it wasn't the same. Ben kept asking, when is Auntie Eleanor coming back? Soon, I hope. Then we must wait for her because we need her too. One afternoon, Marcus was in his study when something prompted him to check his computer. Specifically, the folder where he had saved that single camera clip, the one he had kept before deleting everything. The conversation where Ben confessed to feeling guilty about Victoria's death. But upon opening the folder, he saw there was another file, one he didn't remember saving. He opened it. It was from Eleanor's first week, the camera in Ben's room. His son was alone, building towers with blocks, and talking to someone who wasn't physically there, but who lived in his heart. Mummy, today I met someone new. Her name's Eleanor. She's nice, not like you. No one is like you, but she's nice in her own way. Marcus felt his heart stop. His son had been talking to Victoria all this time. Daddy's still sad, and so am I. But Auntie Eleanor says it's okay to be sad, that I don't have to hide it, that tears are like rain. They cleanse, and then the sun comes out. Tears began to roll down Marcus's face. Mummy, is it okay if I get fond of her? Do you forgive me? I don't want to replace you. I just feel less alone when she's here. In the recording, Ben built his tower taller. This is for you, Mummy, so you can see me from heaven, so you know I remember you, that I will always remember you. And then, in a voice so small he could barely hear it, but it's also okay if I keep living, isn't it? Because sometimes I'm scared to be happy, as if I'm betraying you. Marcus paused the video. He couldn't watch anymore, not through the tears that blurred his vision. His son, his little son, had been carrying the same guilt, the same fears as him. And Marcus had been so lost in his own pain that he hadn't seen it, until Eleanor arrived and showed them both that they could heal, that they could continue loving Victoria while also allowing themselves to live. That night, Marcus picked up the phone and called Eleanor. Hello. She answered with a tired voice. Hello, how are you? Surviving. I need to show you something. Can you come over? Marcus, I don't know if I'm ready. Please, it's important. An hour later, Eleanor was in his study. Marcus showed her the video. She cried as she watched it. When it finished, she wiped her tears. That child has such a pure heart, just like you. Both of you taught me that love isn't betrayal, that you can honor the past while embracing the present. Why did you show me this? Because I need you to know something. It doesn't matter if you decide to come back or not. It doesn't matter if what we have becomes something or remains friendship. What matters is that you saved my family, you saved me. And I want that when you think of your mum, you know that her last gift was to give you the strength to save other people." Eleanor sobbed. She would have loved to meet Ben. "I know, but her love lives through you, and through you it touched our lives profoundly." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Eleanor asked, "Is Ben awake?" "Yes. He hasn't been able to sleep well since you left. Can I see him?" "Of course." They went up to Ben's room. The boy was lying down, hugging his dinosaur, looking at the ceiling. "Ben," Eleanor called softly. The child turned his head, his eyes lit up. "Auntie Eleanor." He launched himself into her arms, and she held him tightly. "I missed you," Ben sobbed. "I missed you too. Are you going to stay?" Eleanor looked at Marcus over Ben's head. He nodded. Whatever she decided, he would support it. "Yes," she said finally, "I'm going to stay." 3 months later, it was a quiet Sunday. Marcus, Eleanor, and Ben were in the park. The same one he used to visit with Victoria, but this time it was different. There were no ghosts, only warm memories coexisting with new moments. Ben ran ahead, chasing butterflies. "He's happy," Eleanor observed. "He is. Thanks to you. Thanks to all of us. This wasn't the work of just one person." Marcus took her hand. She didn't pull it away. "Do you know what I learned from all this?" "What?" "That love isn't finite. It doesn't run out. It doesn't divide. It only multiplies. Loving someone new doesn't mean loving less the one who left. It means the heart has learned to expand." Victoria was wise. She knew you well. She knew us both. And I think she would have approved of this, whatever this becomes. And what is this? I don't know, but I want to discover it with you, without haste, without pressure, just honestly, one day at a time. Eleanor smiled, a smile that lit up her eyes, still marked by grief. I like that very much." Ben came running back, cheeks red from activity and eyes sparkling. "Daddy, Auntie Eleanor, look, I found a blue feather." He held it with both hands, as if it were the most valuable and fragile treasure in the world. "It's beautiful." Eleanor knelt to see it up close. "It's from Mummy," Ben said with certainty. "She sent it to me to say that she's okay, that she's happy, that we're happy." Marcus felt a lump in his throat. He didn't know if the blue feathers came from heaven or just from the park, but he knew his son had found peace, and that was all that mattered. "You're right," he said, hugging Ben. "Your mummy wants us to be happy, and we are. We are happy." Marcus looked at his son, looked at Eleanor, looked at the blue sky and the white clouds and the green trees. He looked at the life he had almost let pass by. "Yes, champ, we are happy, and for the first time since Victoria died. It was true, not a perfect happiness, not a happiness without pain or scars, but a real happiness built on honesty, presence, and the courage to love without guarantees." The cameras had shown him the truth, but the truth wasn't in what Eleanor did or didn't do. The truth was in what he refused to see, that the greatest love isn't the one that protects from pain, but the one that has the courage to feel it and move forward anyway.